annual running of the NHRA Gatornationals at Gainesville Raceway. There's over 100 acres at this facility, and every square foot of it is occupied, either by a parked car or by a spectator trying to find a vantage point to watch the excitement. We're in round number 2 of Top Fuel Eliminator. These are the quickest and fastest accelerating cars in the world. We started with 16 of these vehicles. Now we are down to a field of 8. In the near lane, the 1984 champion, Joe Amato, who defeated Hank Endres in round number 1. Racing against him, Californian Larry Sutton, who defeated Bob Strauss. For Sutton, his performance somewhat of a surprise. Longtime race watchers a bit shocked to find Sutton and his brand new team of Whitmore and Reed here in round number 2. The advantage goes to Amato off the starting line, easily pulling away from Sutton, and Joe Amato, his wife Jerry, reacting favorably to a 5:32 elapsed time and top speed of the meet, 276 miles an hour for Joe Amato. On the starting line, the only woman crew chief in Top Fuel Eliminator, Kim LaHaie, starting that 2,500 horsepower engine that provides the motive power for her dad, Dick LaHaie, the man that won here 2 years ago. The winner 3 years ago is now with Steve.
They say speed doesn't matter in this sport, Joe, but it tells you one thing, that you've got a lot of horsepower. You just ran faster than anyone has all weekend, 276.
Well, Steve, this motor's gone 270, over 270 the last 6 rounds. You know, Tim Richards has been doing an outstanding job. We've got a combination here that I think will run 280 sometime this year. Whether we'll be the first to do it, we'll see.
And here's that word again, consistency, another 532.
Well, that's what's going to win this race. I told Tim yesterday, give me 4 532s and I'll drive and win the race.
Well, that's 2 of them.
All right. Steve is crew chief Tim Richards receiving the congratulations from Joe Amato as Joe has now advanced into the semifinal round. His wife Jerry over to offer him a hug. On the starting line, the competition for Dick LaHaie set to do his burnout, Dan Pastorini. Coming out of the National Football League, Pastorini has already made his mark on the sport of championship drag racing, winning his first NHRA title a year ago at the Southern National. LaHaie is debuting a brand new car at this event, and for the 1987 season has joined forces with the Larry Minor racing team. The crew for Pastorini making some final adjustments as Pastorini, putting down his face mask, approaches the starting line. For LaHaie, his brand new car has performed flawlessly, qualifying in the 520s. And it's a great start for both cars. It's anybody's race in the middle of the course, and Pastorini by inches wins the race. Dan Pastorini defeats Dick LaHaie in one of the closest races ever. 5.45 seconds at over 270 miles an hour for Pastorini. And as we watch again, you can see exactly how Pastorini wins the race. He had a slight advantage, some 0.04 of a second off the starting line. But Dick LaHaie in the middle of the course started coming back on Pastorini. Then as they approached the finish line, 1,320 feet away from the start, there you see it, a matter of inches. LaHaie quicker by 1/100th of a second, but Pastorini the winner.
Did you know for sure you had won that race?
Yeah, I did. It was real close the whole way. I think I got a little hole shot on him, and it was just wheel to wheel the whole way. When I was telling Jimmy just now a minute ago, I hit the lockout clutch, and it seemed to pull on him a little bit. Then he started gaining on me, and then I shifted and hit the lean out button, and it started picking up on him right there at the end. But it was a good race. I don't like too many races like that. As long as I'm on this side of the fence, that's different.
You've really been concentrating, even in qualifying, on getting good starts, and it's paying off for you.
Well, you know, every little bit helps. In this game, it's a matter of milliseconds and inches. And the more that I can do in that driver's seat and to help these guys out, I mean, they're doing all the work. I'm having the fun. They're doing all the work, and they're doing a great job.
We're having a lot of fun watching you into the semifinals.
You got it. Thanks.
Pastorini paying tribute to his crew that are thoroughly enjoying this day at the Gatornationals. Here's Shirley Muldowney under her new canopy cockpit, giving the signals to her crew chief, Ron Tobler. Talk about a tough day on the racetrack. Shirley now faces Floridian Darrell Gwynn. He's only the quickest man in all of drag racing. Earlier, we saw her beat the hometown favorite, Don Garlitz of Florida, better known as the Swamp Rat. You
know those international signs you see all over the place that mean no something, the circle with the bar through it for people that maybe don't speak the language? Take a look at this. From the time Shirley Muldowney was able to defeat Don Garlits and get back to her pits, some ingenious fans had already posted this on her trailer. Not hard to figure out, right? Wouldn't be too popular with people around here. It means no swamp rats. But there's another sign here I hope never has the circle in the bar. There's that one right there.
Steve, I'll second that hope. And of course, it's only in NHRA Championship drag racing that the fans can get close enough to their favorite racers to leave off a poster of that type. Here's the front wheels of Shirley Muldowney's car creeping very slowly towards the starting line. A pair of light beams stretch across the asphalt, and as the two cars roll into those beams, they turn on a pair of lights on top of the electronic starting device known as the Christmas tree. When both of the lights are lit in both lanes, it means they're ready to race. A flash of amber, a green light, and both cars leave the starting line together. Gwynn begins to pull ahead and easily outdistances Shirley Muldowney, and in the process backs up his national record. His elapsed time, 5.26 seconds, the time it takes to cover a quarter-mile distance from a standing start. Darrell Gwynn has moved into the record book. Let's see if we can figure out what happened to Shirley Muldowney. Yes, look at Shirley's car. The severe vibration sets in. She is forced to lift off the throttle. That allows Gwynn to move ahead and take the win.
Well, Darrell, that pass will earn you some bonus World Championship points. You backed up the record with a 5:26.
Woo! I can't believe it. I'll tell you what, the heat of the day, 5:26 in front of my hometown fans. This bud's for you.
A little bit of heaven, huh?
You bet. This is heaven right here.
Tell me about the ride itself. Did you see Shirley at all down the course?
No, I never did. Matter of fact, I had to hold the brake in low gear because it spun the tires on the dry burnout. But we got 2 more rounds to go.
So you were using the brake as an acceleration tool,
Yeah,
really?
it smoked the tires on the dry. My dad told me when I backed up from the dry burnout just to tug on the brake just a tiny bit. So that's what we did, and it worked.
Great job.
Thank you.
For the second time in his relatively short career in Top Fuel racing, Darrell Gwynn has moved into the record book as the elapsed time record holder. This huge crowd with every eye focused on the starting line as our next pair of cars get ready for their race in round number 2 of Top Fuel Eliminator. Eddie Hill in the far lane is against Larry Minor, the boss man of the Minor racing team, which consists of 2 Top Fuel dragsters and a funny car. In qualifying, Minor ran his quickest ever of a 5.24-second elapsed time. Eddie Hill, a former world champion boat racer who decided to move off the water and onto the asphalt and has made the transition very successfully. Minor, the last to stage. A great start for Eddie Hill, but here comes Minor. From behind, Larry Minor drives around Eddie Hill. He has some internal engine problems. That's indicated by the smoke coming out of the motor. But look at the elapsed time. A brilliant 5.32-second elapsed time. His speed, 268 miles an hour, putting him, Larry Minor, into the semifinals against Joe Amato, with Minor having lane choice. The quicker elapsed time in the previous round earns lane choice. Gwynn has it against Dan Pastorini. The starting line, the engines are primed in the funny cars for round number 2 of competition. 16 cars started eliminations. Now they are 8, headed by this man, the reigning world champion, Kenny Bernstein. We've already seen his teammate Darrell Gwynn establish a new Top Fuel record. If Bernstein can back up a 5:47, he goes into the books. He's racing against Doc Holliday, the low-budget racer from St. Paul, Minnesota, that defeated John Martin in the first round. Holliday will be in the near lane. Bernstein, with lane choice, has taken the lane furthest from the camera. The crew checking over the car to make sure it is absolutely perfect before Bernstein brings it to the starting line under the direction of his talented crew chief, Dale Armstrong. Just how talented is Armstrong? Well, Bernstein pays him over $300,000 a year to turn the wrenches on his Buick funny car. And look at Bernstein go. A graphic example of the power delivered by the Bernstein car as he outdistances Doc Holliday with an elapsed time of 5.59 seconds at over 263 miles an hour. That advances Bernstein into the semifinals. Here's John Force getting ready to do a drag racing ritual, the burnout. Long and smoky, the tires literally burning, the fans just loving it. The burnout has a real purpose. It gets the tires very hot and very sticky. With Kenny Bernstein, here's Steve.
Well, it appears to me that this man, Kenny Bernstein, is far more interested in winning this drag race than he is in setting any records. A 5:59, good, solid run.
Well, it is, Steve. You know, winning is what it's all about when at the end of the rainbow, that world championship. And if you get a record along the way, that's fine, but we're here to win today.
Is that all this racetrack will take?
It's pretty close. I was all over pretty loose, and Dale and I just felt pretty much that was about all she was going to take, at least right now.
You got to be proud of your teammate. Daryl Gwynn has backed up that record in Top Fuel.
Well, that's great for him. Like you say, when you get the records, there's nice, but he needs to win a race today, too, just like we do.
Okay.
Bernstein with a very matter-of-fact approach towards the record-shattering speeds, realizing that you can win a battle but still lose the war. Backing up after their long burnouts, Ed McCulloch in the near lane and John Force in the far lane. A crewman lifts the fiberglass body and crew chief Austin Coyle reaches in, activating a second magneto, doubling the ignition capacity on this funny car, hoping to solve a supercharger explosion problem they've been plagued with since the start of the year.
This is the supercharger and fuel injector off of John Force's car. Now, Force at the Winter Nationals had 3 successive blower explosions on the burnout. That's expensive, that's dangerous, and it happened again here in qualifying. Crew chief Austin Coyle, trying to prevent that from happening, now is only using 1 magneto on the burnout for some rather complex reasons, but it does work apparently so far. If it should explode, as it did yesterday, they now have a special one-of-a-kind blower manifold built by Sid Waterman. You see that metal plate in there? It's made out of magnesium, and it is built to pop out and let all that pressure out instead of blowing the blower off of the manifold. And they tried it yesterday, unfortunately, but the blower did indeed stay down. So John says this is one of the best safety things to come along for him in a long time.
Force from Yorba Linda, California, will be racing against the defending Gatornationals funny car champion, Ed McCulloch, who got a first-round win by virtue of that supercharger explosion suffered by Billy Meyer. We saw it happen right on the starting line. McCulloch in the near lane, Force in the far lane. Coming into stage last is Force. And the advantage to Force. But McCulloch pulls alongside and pulls ahead to win. McCulloch moving into the semifinals, and look at the time, 5.58 seconds at 265 miles an hour. In replay, you can see how John Force had the advantage off the starting line, but it was just a matter of a few feet before Ed McCulloch began to pull alongside and then ahead. By the time they reached that finish line a quarter of a mile away, Ed McCulloch had nearly a 2-car length lead and the win to move him into the semifinals. The defending champion still in competition at this Gatornationals championship. Into their burnout procedures, our next pair of racers. This is Johnny West at the wheel of Roland Leong's funny car. Racing against him will be a man that does not carry a major corporate sponsorship, Jim Head out of Columbus, Ohio. Even without the sponsorship, Head has already won 3 NHRA national event titles, including the prestigious U.S. Nationals. In round number 1 today, Jim Head upset Raymond Beadle, while Johnny West, who has yet to win his first NHRA national title, beat Scott Coletta. Based on first-round performances, Jim Head has got to be considered the favorite in this race against Johnny West. He has the advantage, the lane choice. He takes the lane the farthest from the camera. Both cars staged a great start. And tire smoke coming out from Jim Head's car. He has to shut off the parachute out early, and Johnny West goes into the semifinals with a 5.81 second elapsed time. His speed only 248 miles an hour. Back at the starting line, the man known as the Snake for his lightning-fast reflexes, Don Prudhomme, gets set to do his burnout. Racing against Prudhomme is a longtime veteran of the funny car wars, the Chevrolet Corvette, driven by Bruce Larson of Dauphin, Pennsylvania. This is a surprise to every race watcher to find Bruce Larson in the second round of this Gatornationals championship. The upset of the day occurred when Bruce Larson, at the wheel of the Corvette, defeated the past world champion Mark Oswald, driving the Candies in Hughes Thunderbird. Larson came to this race after joining forces with Joe Amato and thus gaining the engine building and tuning expertise of crew chief Tim Richards. What a stunner and what an upset. Bruce Larson on a picture-perfect run defeated Mark Oswald. That left the crowd buzzing.
Well, this man has been racing funny cars for 21 years, but it's the first time we have ever talked down here. Congratulations. You upset Candies and Hughes, Bruce Larson.
Thanks very much. I'd like to know what I ran.
A 568.
That's not bad.
Over 260 miles an hour.
That's the fastest I ever went by 10 miles an hour.
Now it's another tough one for Bruce Larson. Don Prudhomme. Larson has the lane choice. He's picked the lane nearest the camera. Prudhomme on his comeback after laying out of drag racing for over a year. And up in smoke goes Bruce Larson. Prudhomme to the finish line and advancing to the semifinals. Elapsed time for Prudhomme, a great 5.64 seconds at 266 miles an hour. Prudhomme having found some of the horsepower that he had been missing as Bruce Larson coasts to an easy stop. His day is done. The semifinals finds two great world champions, Kenny Bernstein against Don Prudhomme, with Bernstein having lane choice, Johnny West against the defending Gatornationals champion, Ed McCulloch, and McCulloch has the lane. On the other hand, an engine change is not an unusual occurrence for a top-fuel dragster. They are designed for quick and easy servicing. However, these two cars did not have an engine change to get ready for the semifinal round. Joe Amato is in the near lane, Larry Minor in the far lane. Minor not only has the very successful three-car team in NHRA Championship drag racing, he maintains an off-road racing team, and he is a national champion in that style of racing. Amato winning here in 1984, the year he won the World Championship title. That was the year that Amato became the first man ever to exceed the speed of 260 miles an hour. Now they are knocking on the 280-mile-an-hour barrier. Amato just inching his way into those staging beams, and it's a great start. Amato has some tire smoke, but he handily pulls ahead of Larry Minor, with engine smoke trailing the car as he crosses the finish line. Joe Amato with a 5.39-second elapsed time, somewhat slower in speed on this run than his previous passes at only 257 miles an hour. As you can see in the replay, in spite of losing traction, Amato pulled ahead of Minor and easily won the race. Back in the pit area of Bob Glidden, the work continues preparing that T-Bird for the final round against Butch Leal. You know this unexpected engine change has got to be putting a lot of pressure on the entire Glidden family, the race team that campaigns that Ford. Back on the starting line, the final pair in Top Fuel. The quickest man, Daryl Gwynn, receiving the handshake from his dad, a former world champion, Jerry Gwynn, as he brings the longest car in drag racing to the starting line. Racing against him in the shorter, more conventional Top Fuel dragster is Dan Pastorini, enjoying the finest performance day of his career. And Pastorini with the advantage. But look at the power of Daryl Gwynn. Gwynn into the finals. The elapsed time, 5.24 seconds at 269 miles an hour. Not far behind was Pastorini at a 5:38. In the replay, you can see very easily the advantage that Pastorini had right at the start. But then, look at the power of Daryl Gwynn as he just drove right past Dan Pastorini in the middle of the course. As they approached the finish line, he extended his lead and advanced into the finals. What a final round matchup in Top Fuel. Joe Amato, winner here in 1984. Daryl Gwynn, the new national record holder, and Daryl Gwynn has lane choice.
Well, our Top Fuel finalists are set. Joe Amato versus this man, Daryl Gwynn, and you've got a bit of a performance edge. Your 5:24 versus his 5:39.
Well, I'll tell you what, very much to say. There's a lot of things that can happen in fuel racing. I've set records before at national events and not won them. I'm after this win. The record's great, but I'm after this win here at Gainesville in front of my hometown people. I would just want to impress that upon everybody that I'm going to try my damnedest.
You love your fans.
You got it.
On the starting line, Kenny Bernstein, the dominant force in funny car racing, against the man that has 4 consecutive world championship titles to his credit, the man on the comeback trail, Don Prudhomme. Prudhomme with a brand new crew, bringing his Pontiac to the starting line against the Buick of Bernstein. Talk about change. It wasn't so many years ago that Kenny Bernstein could only dream to have the performances of a Don Prudhomme. Now the tables are reversed. And Bernstein out in front, but look at the tire smoke. Bernstein with problems. He's close to the wall. And Don Prudhomme in the upset of the meet has put Kenny Bernstein on the trailer and moves into the Gatornationals finals for the 5th time in his career. For Bernstein, that has got to be a shocker, as he has had the dominant performance throughout this entire event. Here in replay, you see the tire smoke indicating the loss of traction. Bernstein trying to keep the car under control. It then moved out close to the guardrail, made contact with the rail at that point, and Don Prudhomme went on to the finish line and the big upset victory. Bernstein trying to keep that Buick under control, edges its way closer and closer to the concrete, and finally hits it.
A 571, Don, into the final round. Tremendous.
Well, right now it's a little tough getting down the track. I appreciate what you're saying, but it's just a little tough right now, and we just got to sneak up on it, you know.
Well, Bernstein was having his problems in that lane.
Well, yeah, you know, but, you know, we're having ours too, and being off that time, you know, someone was telling me if Johnny Carson took a couple of years off, it'd be tough to be back on his number, but it's tough, you know. I didn't realize how that much time would really affect us.
See you then.
Thank you.
Obviously, Don Prudhomme happy with his performance in the finals for the first time since 1982. Our final pair in the semis of Funny Car Eliminator, Johnny West in the near lane, Ed McCulloch, the defending champ, in the far lane. Taking their time about staging, they both creep forward at the same time, and the tree goes green and instant tire smoke for Ed McCulloch. Johnny West goes into the finals to race against Don Prudhomme. There's going to be lots of work for the Roland Leon crew as that smoke coming out of the header pipes indicating some internal damage to the car driven by Johnny West. For Ed McCulloch, a disappointment. He tried everything to recover from that tire smoking start, but was unable to do so. Almost instantly, the tires lost traction. McCulloch trying his best to keep the car under control and catch up with Johnny West, but was unable to do it. Thus, Don Prudhomme against Johnny West, with Prudhomme having lane choice in the Gatornationals finals.
Well, suddenly, the favorites, the Bernsteins, the McCullochs, apparently start to overpower the racetrack and open the door for a guy like Johnny West.
It's nice for once. Well, let me tell you, all last year was tough for me to get into the final. A couple of times I red lighted, had the 3-round blues. Finally, I've gotten past that 3rd round and seen the final.
576 will not give you lane choice.
We don't need it. You don't need it here. Both lanes are about the same. We've lost lane choice every run so far, you know. We just don't need it.
You look confident to me.
Oh, we love it. We love it.
Hey, Johnny.
That's an obviously happy man. He'll be driving against Don Prudhomme in the finals in front of the 2nd largest crowd in the 36-year history of NHRA. On the starting line, 2 drivers thinking about winning. Don Prudhomme, it's been a long time since 1982 in the winner's circle. For Johnny West, he has never tasted victory at an NHRA national event. A final check of the cars by starter Buster Couch. They're both staged. It's a good start. Something going wrong for Johnny West. A flash of fire under the fiberglass body, and Don Prudhomme is the winner. An unbelievable turn of events as Prudhomme, with a 5.72 second elapsed time at 260 miles an hour, wins the Gatornationals. In replay, you can see just what happened. As they left the starting line almost simultaneously, it was a flash of fire. Something let go under the fiberglass body in the engine compartment, and Johnny West was forced to park it right next to the concrete guardrail.
Don Prudhomme gets a well-deserved hug from his wife, Lynn. Gets a little more than a hug, actually. And Snake, a brand new race team winning the 2nd time out. Did you ever even believe that was possible?
Well,
Really?
Well, you know, not exactly. I figured we're going to have to struggle a little bit more than we did to get in the winner's circle. We had a couple of good breaks, Steve. You know, Bernstein's car is obviously still the killer car, and we're going to take this car home back to California and run and test and work on it, because I'd like to win the championship again.
That would be, what, the 5th time?
Yeah, I think so. But, you know, we were hooked up with Skoll, and that was probably one of the best things ever happened to me and Pontiac.
By the way, in case you don't count, I do. This is the 5th time you've won the Gatornationals, but 4 and 5 had a pretty good separation.
Yeah, well, it's been a long time since a national event, and I just couldn't be happier. I mean, I don't even know what to say. It's a dream come true.
We love having you back.
Thank you.
At the age of 46, Don Prudhomme definitely on the comeback trail. on the starting line, waiting for the word to start the engine, the quickest man in the history of the sport, Darrell Gwynn. The Motorcraft Gatornationals at Gainesville Raceway. Over 700 cars started qualifying 4 days ago. Now there are 2 remaining. The finalists in Top Fuel Eliminator. Joe Amato, 42 years of age, out of Old Forge, Pennsylvania. He's thinking about that engine. A brand new motor installed in his race car between the semifinals and this round. Will it perform at the same level as the previous engine? The man he is racing, the quickest man in the history of the sport, 25-year-old Darrell Gwynn from Miami, Florida, has not had the engine problems. He has had nothing but success on this racetrack. Amato, on the other hand, has not been doing too badly himself. Consistently in the low 530s, he has top speed of this race at over 276 miles an hour. This is the 3rd consecutive final round appearance for Joe Amato. He lost to Darrell Gwynn at the World Finals. He lost the recently completed Winter Nationals. Now, once again, facing Gwynn in the finals of the Gatornationals. Both cars are staged. A great start. A tremendous race. At the finish line, it's Joe Amato in the upset of Top Fuel. Amato wins with his first ever 5:20 elapsed time at 5.29 seconds. Joe Amato defeats Darrell Gwynn. The starting line advantage is obviously Amato's. He does not relinquish it at any point on the racetrack. And as they approach that finish line, 1,320 feet away from the start, by more than a car length, Joe Amato, your champion. That picture tells it all for Darrell Gwynn. For the 2nd time in his career, when he set the new record, he lost the race.
All right. Not only did this man slap a hole shot on Darrell Gwynn he will never forget, but you ran a career best of 5:29.
Steve, once you're in the final, it's anybody's race. The TRW Keystone Automotive Dragster is really, it's hot. You know, we're gonna win. That's 6 finals in a row and 2 runners up. Things always happen to me in 3s, and that's 2. We got 1 more to go.
And you know, I've said this before, but it's tough to make an engine change and run as well. I don't care what anybody says.
My crew, Tim Richards, he builds engines like super stock engines. He can. I was so confident putting the engine in. I just felt good about today. My group guys felt good. We didn't want to go out and try and run a 5:25 and beat us. I told him if he give me 5 low 30s today, I'd win, and he gave me a 29 for a bonus.
And your driving was brilliant.
It just felt good. You know, you ever come to a racetrack and you feel hot? Well, today I felt that way.
It felt good because it was good. Joe Amato, Motorcraft Gatornationals Top Fuel champion.
Our congratulations to all the Gatornationals champs. For Steve Evans, I'm Dave McClellan saying so long from Gainesville, Florida.